Stupid ass climate change, man. Yeah, phone overheated despite my attempts to buffer it from said heat. It just goes to show you, man, like this heat shit is not a joke. A lot of people are just like, woo, they don't remember what woo means. Woo means it's so hot outside that I feel like I'm dying when I'm out there. That's what woo means. So I don't fucking know, bro. I don't want to get too fucking whiny about it or whatever, but it really is fucking happening. It's real. Okay. It's a real thing. And it's too late, baby. Now it's too late. Oh, we really did try and make it. Something inside has died, and I can't hide, and I just can't fake it. Oh, no. Sorry. Can we play some copyright or non-copyright music? We could, but it's always risky, man. There are tons of channels and like sources out there that say like, yeah, this is non-copyright music. This is non-copyright music. But I'm like, when you look into it, it's not non-copyright music. You know what I mean? I don't know. I would love some sort of subscription service or whatever that lets me pay like $50 a month, right? But it also lets me, within reason, like play some music on the stream, right? Like maybe there's certain artists that aren't part of it, but like just like, you know, like a not a license to use it commercially, but a license to like, well, I guess it would be commercial use if I was monetizing these, which I'm not. So how about that? How about it like on non-monetized streams where there's no super chats, there's no ad revenue being generated for anybody but YouTube and the fucking artists. Like, why would you block it in different countries, right? Yeah, like streamer Spotify, yeah. Where it's like I can pay like, something that other people like it would cost more, I imagine, than like a Spotify premium or something, right? They'd want to like charge more for it because you got, you are like using little slices of music commercially or possibly, but I don't know. It's like, to me, like you sitting and talking while Goodbye Horses plays in the background is different from just presenting Goodbye Horses, right? But the line is hazy, right? The line is hazy there. It's like Q Lazarus made Goodbye Horses, right? And they definitely got licensed or got that song licensed for use in Silence of the Lambs, right? But the song itself is background noise while what's going on the screen, like the revelation of the serial killer, right, being shown on the screen. And so that song has a haunting quality. It adds to the scene, but it isn't the scene, right? It's like that gray area of like, yes, it's being used commercially, but it's being used to set a tone. That tone is important, right? It's all very like, mishmashed in the capitalist system, you know, where it's like you own the rights to anybody listening to this. Like, well, you know, I get it. Goodbye, horses. I'm crying out. I can't hit it. Do you think Fast Car is the most beautiful song? If not, do you have one in mind? Fast Car is a beautiful song. Tracy Chapman, right? Bum, 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 bum. Johnny got a fast car. And he drove in the middle and he drove away and then he went into the band to the middle. I don't know the lyrics. Beautiful song, but for me, it's I Can't Make You Love Me If You Don't. Just that, a piano and a singer. That or True Colors by Cyndi Lauper. You with the sad eyes. Don't be discouraged. When's the last time that I saw you laughing? If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can give, call on me, babe, 'cause you know I'll be there. And I see your true colors shining through. No, but Fast Car is really good. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful song, but my choice is I Can't Make You Love Me. And I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid. Let him show your true colors. True colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. Beautiful song. And I can't make you love me if you don't. I can't change your heart if you tell me you won't. It's just such a beautiful song. Such a relatable song too. I mean, I feel like maybe that's the plight of everybody, is to love someone who doesn't love them back. It's certainly been my fucking plight a couple of times in my life, and it's one of the hardest feelings to deal with, right? That feeling that you would do anything for another person and they don't even really think about you that much. You can't make them love you if they don't. You know, love is fickle and all of that stuff. The heart is deceitful above all things. That's just my first marriage. I mean, you were married though. I'm talking about like times where you're pining away from somebody and you just can't have them. You don't get to marry them. You don't get to date them. You don't get to be anything in their lives except for an afterthought. But you spend every waking hour thinking about them, right? That's the I can't make you love me if you don't. I can't make you love me if you don't. When I was younger, the lines from Birthday Boy, help me now, I'm going down, and I don't know if I'll be okay, struck hard in the heart when dealing with those heartbreak feelings. Yeah, that's a great song. Referenced in Baby Bitch as well. Wrote Birthday Boy for you, babe. Had a girl in middle school like that. Yeah. I didn't really have one in middle school, but in high school, immediately I met a girl that I tumbled head over heels into adolescent love with, and I chased her all high school. And I think she liked me back. Well, I know she liked me back. We fooled around and shit, but it was just very weird, man. And I think about that a lot because it was very strange. Not a lot, but like just like how odd it was to be played with in that way, right? You've got somebody that outwardly has expressed to you like I don't want to be with you, but then when you're in private wants to make out, right? So I guess maybe it was because maybe she just wanted like a friends with bennies kind of thing, and she didn't want all of the emotions, but I couldn't help the emotions. So it was like maybe that's what it was. I've never thought about that before. I've always thought about it from the angle of like she was ashamed to be seen with me because I was a little fat kid. Like I had Riz, but you know, I was also I was a little fat kid like I am now. Well, not little, but I was a fat kid. So it's like I always thought it was that, but maybe it was more like she wanted like the physical stuff without the emotional stuff, and she didn't know how to ask for that. And I would have known how to pick up on that, nor would I have been able to provide that for her, I don't think. I was too, you know, my feelings were in there. It would be a little weird, but do you ever think if you were to run into them one day, you would ask what all that was about? No, because I've already had that conversation with them. I don't know that they knew at the time, but like in my early 30s, she reached out to me on Facebook, not in like an inappropriate way, or at least I didn't feel like it was inappropriate. She was just like, "Hey, you know, I still think about you and stuff, and I just wanted to see how you're doing. I see you're married and stuff. That's so cool. I'm doing this." I was just like, basically, like, "Here's what's going on in my life." We started talking. Eventually, exchanged phone numbers, and you know, because I hate doing like text shit. And we had a long conversation, like a 2 hour long conversation, where she like felt deeply, deeply regretful of how she treated me in high school. She said, like, I'm so sorry. She's like, she was like, I couldn't stand the idea of anybody else having your time. And I said, well, what does that mean? And she said, you know, like, I didn't want to lead you on because I didn't think I was ready to be in the type of relationship that you wanted from me. But I also didn't want to lose you. Like if another girl started to show interest in you, it drove me insane. And she's like, that's not fair. And I was like, well, yeah, but you know, it's cool. I mean, like, it didn't like give me anything that I didn't know already. You know what I mean? I was already aware that that's what she was doing, but like the psychology underpinning it was like, we never really got there. Like, what made you make those choices? What made you adverse to trying to pursue a more romantic relationship with me at that time in your life, right? She told me one time, and this is so fucked up, bro. This is the type of stuff that I never got an accounting for, right? She told me one time, and that we were older too. We were like 17 or 18. She told me at one time that one of the reasons why she waited all throughout high school and wouldn't date me is because she was afraid she would just like that it would be over for her. Like she would fall in love with me and that would be it. And I was like, well, why is that a problem? Isn't that like what people look for? And she's like, and to her credit, she's probably right. She's like, yeah, but not at like my age. And I remember her telling me after we graduated high school, she was like, I just want this summer. And I mean, I was like, what does that mean? And she said, I just want this summer unattached so that I can see if this is real. And I was like, okay. Like, we're not dating, so I can't tell you what to do. And she said, after this summer, I will call you. And I was like, okay. Which is, you know, it was like crushing. Right. I was just like, what? So you love me, but you want to go like fuck around all summer? I was like, whatever. But like, she didn't call after the end of the summer. I called her. I said, you treat me like a fucking dog. Like, that's shit that you just like didn't call. And I hung up on her. And that was kind of like where we ended things back when we were kids, right? There wasn't really much after that. And that was my heartbreak, because I finally had to confront this girl doesn't really want you all that much, bro. She might have said she wanted to, but she'd have been on that phone like, fuck the summer. It would have been like a couple weeks into summer. And she's like, all right, I know it's real. Come on. If she wanted you, she wanted you. She didn't want you, and I had to face that. I had to fucking put myself through that. You know what I mean? But talking to her as an adult didn't make me feel any better about that, or didn't like really get me to the bottom of that, because neither one of us was in the same headspace we were when we were like hormonal ass teenagers, right? Like what we know about love and human relationships has changed so fundamentally from like 17, 18 to 30, right? Yeah, I knew a girl like this in high school, bullets dodged. I mean, whatever. Lesson learned is how I put at it. I don't think she's a bullet. I'm just saying that like, yeah, people don't know what they want, and I've always been a dude that does. You know what I mean? Like, I know what I want in a partner. I know it immediately. Like when I meet somebody and I'm in that mode where I'm like open to the idea, and that chemistry happens, like I know what I don't go from 0 to 100. I'm not like, marry me immediately, right? Or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, every time I've been in love with a person, I've known pretty fucking quickly that I was in love with that person, that there was something there that was more than friendship and more than just a desire to fuck. There was something like real there. And I've only been in 4 long relationships, really, like adult relationships in my whole life, or just really long relationships. But I've never had that worry in my head. It's always been really clear in my head when I'm attracted to someone. As a young man, that shit is the worst. Oh yeah, man. It's fucking like, I just remember like, I don't think of my time as a high school kid like bad, like bad, poorly now. Like I don't think poorly on it now. But dude, my emotional state was fucked, man. I remember just blubbering and crying and screaming into my pillow and Taylor Swifting all over my bedroom. You know what I mean? Not Taylor Swift was like a baby then, if that, but you get my drift. Like our thing was Mazzy Star, Fade Into You. Okay. That was our Taylor Swift. I want to hold the hand inside you. What does love feel like? Some say love, it is a flower that blooms from you to me. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your heart to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger and endless aching need. But I say loved, it is a flower, and you, its only seed. Who knows, man? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me, bro. What is love? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I say love, Thanks. Didn't help much, but thanks anyway. I'm sorry, man. Like, what are you going to do? There's really no helping it. You got to bleed. You got to bleed out. That's how you know love. That's what love feels like. It feels like an ache, like a desire, like a need to be close to someone, a need to like have that person want you and you want them, right? And it's very like, it's like this. I agree with the endless aching need. Love hurts. Love scars. Right? It takes a lot of pain. Takes a lot of pain. Is this love that I'm feeling? Is this love that I've been searching for? Is this love? I mean, yeah, scientists say it's a chemical reaction in the brain, but do you really believe that, man? Do you really believe that, though? It is a flower. Best and worst thing ever. Yeah, true. Especially when you're young. Unpacking, that's why there's so many great fucking heartbreak songs by young recording artists, right? You don't feel it the same ever again after the first time. The first cut is the deepest. Baby, I know the first cut is the deepest. And you can try and give yourself what you want. Why does it have to be so hot? Yeah, Phoebes knows. Phoebes knows it's true. Girl, you know it's true. Jabop, jabop. Ooh, 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 I love you. Songs are just popping in my head today, dude. The 80s and 90s are alive in Paul's Ego's brain today. Ooh, 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 I love you. I'm in Ireland and it's raining. Cool. I wish I was there. Ding. Yeah, Runaway was a good breakup song, right? Or breakup song the right way? Just heartbreak song, maybe. And I always find something wrong. You've been putting up with my shit just way too long. I'm so gifted at finding what I don't like the most. So I think it's time for us to have a toast. You don't feel love like you did the first time. And then as you go on, you realize that first love wasn't the best way to feel it anyways. That is so true. That is so true. Like love at first sight is not, it feels great, but it's not the best aspect of love. The best aspect of love is being a partner to someone where like your life is their life is your life to an extent. And you're working together and you're living together and you're supporting one another. That is the end result of love, not feeling like you can't live without somebody. Being a heartbroken teen, torturing yourself with sad songs, a universal experience. Yeah. Mine was, like I said, Mazzy Star, Fade Into You, and then Ben Folds 5 Brick. That was another sad song that I would put on to cry into my pillow. Desperately Wanting by Better Than Ezra. That was another one. Keep dating these guys where they take over my life and infiltrate everything, but I can't meet their friends or infiltrate theirs. So annoying and sketch. Yeah, you gotta fucking. You can't. That's very sketch, Kayla. And I mean, like, look, you gotta learn though. There are dudes out there that aren't gonna do that with you, but like you might have to change what you're looking for. Like, you might have to understand that physical infatuation and love are not necessarily the same thing. They're tied together in certain ways. But like if you're just going after like really good looking fuck boy kind of guys and they're treating you like shit, like you might have to adjust where you're finding these dudes or how you're finding these dudes, right? But you'll figure it out. I'll stop eating with my eyes. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I'm not even saying that like you're doing that too much or whatever, but I'm just saying like you have to like understand that like maybe there's something else, right? And I can almost guarantee, you know what the sad thing is, Kayla? Is if you're like a typical chick, I'm pretty sure there's a dude in your life that would treat you really fucking good. Like that's not a creep, that's not an asshole, that would love you and take, be a partner to you. But you've probably just not attracted to him sexually and you've overlooked them. And there's nothing you can do to like force that. I'm just saying, like maybe like look for that energy instead of the fucking fuck boy energy, right? Or whatever it is you're into. Because, I'm not trying to be like a white knight or like a fucking friend zone guy. And I'm not saying you have to date the person I'm talking about that's in your life. I'm just saying that like that's probably the case, right? He's got to be a felon too. Yeah, definitely a felon. Damn, girl, all I did was cheat on with you or your mom. What's the big deal? Yeah, dude. What is the big deal, man? Captain Save a Ho. Yeah. Tax fraud is a felony. Yeah, it is. Thank you. Can you tell us a few other felonies as well? Short guys will treat you like a queen. All the girls overlook them. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a lady, so it's like, I can't really like speak too much on that. In high school, I treated a lot of girls like garbage. It was shocking how many of them responded positively to it. Well, that's because, like, okay, so there's this. My dad would tell me this shit. He would say, basically, like, I've told this story before, but he would come to me. I was like 14, 15, right? He'd go, like, you still chasing that little Tammy girl around? I'd be like, yeah. You ain't hit that yet? No, Dad, I ain't hit that yet. He's like, here's what you do, boy. Next time you see her, she walks up to you, you act like you don't even see her. You walk on past. There any little chicks at school that are into you? And I was like, yeah, there's like a couple people that have said they were into me or whatever. It's like, get with one of them. Start dating, walk right over to that person, put your arms around them or something. She'll be all over you. So sure enough, like I told my dad, that's stupid, Dad, but I did that. I just like started ignoring her, not answering the phone when I knew it was her calling. And then at school, like I got with this, like I was a senior. I got with this little freshman chick that had the hots for me just to piss her off, basically. And it worked. She was like all up my fucking ass. Sorry, I'm just texting somebody. You guys will just have to wait for your entertainment. It's just human nature. Once you're told you can't have something, you want it more. Yeah. I mean, and then you got to understand too, like as a teenager, your hormones are fucking going crazy. So it's not like you're in the best frame of mind to be making those types of decisions. And then you're just like, you have no experience with that either. And so it's very like, that's why high school is such a rough time for a lot of people. I think that trend reverses as you get older. 30 plus women definitely appreciate guys who don't treat them like shit. I don't even think it's being treated like shit. It's like that whole absence is the makes the heart grow fonder type of thing. It's like women. It's why like this is one of the best ways to get laid if you're just wanting to go out to clubs and shit. You go out to a club alone and just get a ring like this and put it on your finger. Make sure you wear it enough to where you get the telltale hoop. See my finger? That's how they check, right? There's a reason why that is almost the biggest guaranteed one night stand bait in the world, right there. That and a little bit of charisma is all you need. And there's a reason for that. When you're talking about like young adults, like 18 to 28, right? For the most part, there's a reason for that. It's because like you want what you can't have, right? And that impulse is bad. And everybody learns that there's a reason why you can't have something. It's because you can't have it. But I want it. I'm 33, and yeah, I don't fall for either extreme. Even when I get the big flowers and song and dance, I'll accept that with a smile. But in my head, I know he about to ghost. Well, you've got this. You've got the instincts. Then you've just got to use those instincts early on, or listen to them better, maybe, because they're true. You got it. Yeah. You know, there's that. Here's another song. You can't always get what you want, right? You can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, you might find you get what you need, right? Thank you for saying intuition counts for something. Oh, if you thought I was going to dog out intuition, you're talking to the wrong chap. Intuition counts for a lot. And it's real. And it has saved lives and saved fucking people from a lot of fucking suffering, okay? You listen to your heart. You listen to your instinct. Dude, if you meet somebody and the hair on the back of your neck stands up, get the fuck away from that person, man. Forbidden fruit tastes the sweetest. I mean, I guess, yeah. No, you feel it because it's real. That is your so like Kayla, scientifically speaking, your sympathetic nervous system is reacting to your past. So you're seeing subconsciously and consciously red flags, and your sympathetic nervous system is reacting to those red flags. Even if it's not consciously in the forward part of your brain, those types of reactions are real. You should listen every time. Doesn't mean you run away. It means you should confront it. You like a dude, you like a person, but you start to feel like they might be like closed off and cheating. You just need to say, why won't you let me into your life? Why can't I come around your friends? And if the answer is unsatisfactory, you need to ghost. That's what I'm talking about. Because like people should not do that. Like if you're in a relationship with somebody and they're all up in your business, you should be in theirs in a commensurate fashion. That just makes sense. And if he's holding that back, then fucking red flag alert. All right. Dude, every little battle is a scar, and you'll remember next time. And you'll learn to trust yourself. Motherfuckers will be slick with you and try and tell you your intuitions are wrong. You don't got to feel that way. I'm different. But you know what? Your body will tell you. Your sympathetic nervous system will tell you who's fucking full of shit and who isn't, right? For the most part. Well, I know you said you're going through a breakup and shit, and this is the type of shit I wish people had told me when I was, coming up, having a breakup. I'm not saying you're young, all that, but yep. Yeah. I mean, look, rashes can happen because of fucking anxiety, repressed emotions, stomach pain, stomach cramps, nausea. Those things are the sign of like sympathetic nervous system overreacting to something. Could be a memory, could be just a trepidation in your mind that you don't want to bring forward. Whatever it is, like those types of things, that really eerie feeling you get off of some people sometimes, where it's like something ain't right here. That is usually true. And it is not based in just like fucking a whim or paranoia. It's based on your history, right? Relationships should be fun and not stressed out and painful. That is true, especially at the beginning. Like if you are at the beginning of a relationship, in my opinion, and it goes like immediately to something really stressful and weird, you need to get, because that's going to be the balance of your relationship at that point. That's like an early warning sign that you are not mixing as well as it might feel like you're mixing. You might have a really solid physical connection. You guys might fuck well, right? You might fit together well in that way. And, it feels good. But like if every outside of that, if you just like early on, you start noticing like, oh shit, we're fighting, we're arguing. I don't feel good about the way he left, or I don't feel good about the way she talked to me last night. You need to fucking address that immediately and get the fuck out if there's not a satisfactory answer to it. Because what you found is your ruin. You know, if I had taken that advice or had somebody tell me that advice when I was young, there were probably at least a couple of my long-term relationships that wouldn't have been long-term. Instead of being 5, 6, 7 years, they might have been like a couple months or a couple years at most, you know. But like on the other end of it, relationships are not stress-free, you know, especially like really committed relationships. They're not like stress-free environments. Do you agree with the maxim that youth is wasted on the young? No. I hate shit like that. I'm old and I would know how to be young better. Then you wouldn't be young, fucking idiot. You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense to me. Being young is unique. It's a unique combination of like hopefulness and naivete that never comes again. It's not like some kind of power that you have. It's a fucking stage in your life. People say young people don't enjoy being young because they don't understand what they have or what they're given, right? I say like old people don't understand what it was like to be young, because when I look at young people, at the very least in these kind of like social situations and shit, it looks like they're having a pretty good fucking time most of the time. Just like me and my friends did. So this idea that you would be better if you could just have their body. It's like, you know how much of the distance between you and those people that you're looking at going like, oh, look at those youngsters. They just don't know. You know how much of the distance of that is just your fucking cloistered off mind? Like, yeah, dude, am I naive the way I was when I was in my 20s? No. Have my political kind of beliefs and my spiritual beliefs and my kind of like personal fucking understanding of myself grown pretty greatly in that time? Yes. Am I wildly a different person? No. Is my body the reason why I'm not out partying? I mean, maybe to some extent now, but like, no, not really. It's my mindset. I don't like getting drunk all the time. I don't even like really getting drunk, period. Once in a blue moon, I want to kill a fucking 6-pack or something of cheap American beer and just chill by the pool or something, right? I don't drink. When I was in my 20s, I drank all the time, every day. You know, it's a mindset difference. I think so many old people are locked into this like, oh, I'm in pain and I hate my life, but I wish I could be young again. Then go be young again. Unlock this cucked ass mindset that you have where you're buried under bills and you're in a fucking dead ass relationship, and go be young again, bitch. Your thoughts on weed versus alcohol? There's no versus, man. It's not a boxing match. Who cares? Master has failed more times than the master has tried. We just post the failure of our world for the world to see. Problem is, for youth nowadays, they have everything thrown at them every second. Well, yeah. I mean, like I've said before, I think that like the constant barrage of bullshit that manifests itself in the faces of our children through these fucking tablets and phones and screens and shit is insane. It's like, if you really start thinking about it, it's fucking insane. Especially if you are like me, you grew up in a more analog age and you've seen this whole thing kind of come to be over the last 20 years. It's like, oh, I don't know, man. Dude, see, that's the thing. Here's why people say that, though, like things like that quote, right? Like, youth is wasted on the young. You know why they say that? Because people become fuddy-duddies. Really, honestly, they do. Everybody becomes kind of like, I'm more of a get off my lawn type of guy now than I ever have been in my life. I'm getting older, right? I'm going to acquiesce to that. Your mindset changes, but your whole mindset, your whole openness to new experiences and stuff doesn't have to change. It just does for a lot of people. They get roped into this fucking lie that is the American dream, the fucking house, the picket fence, the 2.5 kids, the little fucking minivan, 2 dogs and a cat, all of that shit. And dude, I'm sorry to tell you, there are just some people that's not for them. I'm one of them. And the more I tried to crowbar myself into that kind of existence, the more my mind and body rebelled against me. Anyway, I've got to take a leak and grab something to drink. I'll be back in a second. Hang out if you want. If not, well, go find something else to watch. Okay, here we be. Let's get this computer woken up and the camera back on. There we go. Okay, I have to scooch again. My setup actually works okay for these, but not like perfectly in the portrait or like portrait mode or whatever. Yeah. It works. Howdy. Yeah, a lot of people left. A lot of people were like, fuck this, skibbity scroll. Don't blame them. But, I mean, the call of nature, dude. What am I supposed to do? Sit here and piss my pants? You have any stories about Freemason? I knew a 33rd degree Freemason. And he told me some things. He let me see his 33rd degree ring. I knew him. He was a customer of mine when I worked at Starbucks, or like a regular guy. Worked at the Starbucks at Herndon and Marks. And he was a guy that would come in every day, order a pretty expensive like caramel macchiato or something, and sit down and read the newspaper, right? And I read the newspaper every day as well. And so when I was on my break, my lunch break, my 30-minute break or my 10 or my 15 or whatever I was getting to take, right? I would oftentimes, me, I'm a gregarious guy. I would strike up like a conversation or whatever with people that I recognized. And I remember one day I saw him reading a story, and he looked at me over the paper and he was like, hey, sit down for a minute. I was like, okay. Now, what do you think? I can't remember what it was. It was something about the Bush tax cuts. He's like, what do you think about this? And I told him what I thought about it at the time. And he was like, whatever. And I noticed as he was like gesticulating and shit at me, the big fucking ring on his finger. And I saw, you know what I mean? The Mason symbol on it. The fucking, what is that? You know what I'm talking about, right? That fucking triangle thing that like you use to make a circle, or it's like a measuring tool, right? I could see that symbol very prominently displayed in this ring that's on his finger. And it looks like that ring, like, square and compass. Yeah. It looks like that ring did not come off of that finger, man. You know what I mean? And dude was like, and so I asked it, I ended up talking to the guy every once in a while when I was on my break, and I asked him about it one day, and he was pretty forthcoming with information. I was like, I'm not a conspiracy nut, as I've noticed your Mason ring. He's like, yeah, he showed it to me. Let me look at it. And it had 33 on it. And I was like, are you a 33rd degree Mason? He said, yes, I am. He told me about his lodge. And so I was like, can I ask you some questions? And he said, yeah. He said, there's certain things, obviously, I probably won't tell you, but yeah, you can ask questions. And I said, will you shake my hand? And he said, yeah. And so I shook his hand like you would normally shake somebody's hand, right? And when I did it, I pressed this finger into his palm. This one deliberately, right? I let all these other fingers kind of like hang limp normally, and I pressed this finger into his palm as we were shaking hands. And I said, did I just properly shake your hand? And he said, yes. Right. So that I had read is one of the ways that Masons, there is no level 34. 33 is the top level of Masonry. Right. And so like I had heard that is one of the ways that the Masons will identify each other, is by doing that very secretive little move while you're doing a handshake, pressing that index finger into the palm, because you do it at the same time, and it lets two Masons know that you're a fellow traveler, as they call it, right? Pretty interesting, right? But yeah, he wouldn't like confirm or deny any like crazy shit. He told me that there are a number of ways that you identify yourself as a Freemason, especially of like a high degree Freemason. So there are a number of like secretive rituals that he wasn't able to talk about, but none of them were like bloodletting or sacrifice or any of that shit. He told me that it was mostly like a social mobility thing. Like I asked him, like, why would anybody want to be a Mason? And he said, well, if you're a tradesperson, being a Mason is a huge boon because it juices you in with a lot of the most powerful people in your area and then in your region and nationally, right? The higher up the degrees you get, the more access you have to people that are crazy. And so I would ask him, I would say, does that mean that you could have access to some really powerful people? And he said, yes. And I said, but you're not going to tell me who? And he said, no. But his Mason affiliation obviously is like social lubricant, right? It like gets him into doors that you and I couldn't even approach. You know, he's like, that's why these like, and then like, you know, there are adjacent organizations like the Shriners and stuff. That's why these organizations exist. It's like social connection. It juices you in with the local business community in a big time. Like or in a big way, you know what I mean? So he was an interesting guy. Is there a chance that he had a fake ass ring on? Yeah. You know, but it looks like he wore it every single fucking day. And he played very coy with it. But he was interested that I was interested. Yeah. Wasn't TJ invited into that? I think he's had a story about that. I don't remember, though. You'd have to ask him about that. Yeah, I met some really interesting people doing that job. You know, like coffee shops, especially back in the day when Starbucks used to be more of a coffee shop and less of a fast food place. People used to actually come there to chill. And, you know, chilling out in front on my break, smoking a cigarette, reading a paper. I met some really interesting people. I ever tell you guys about Rainy Ray? Rainy Ray was like an interesting dude, man. I think I might have told a story about Rainy Ray before, but thank you, baby. I appreciate it. Bagel time. Let's go. How'd you learn the secret Mason rub and tug? I'd read it on the internet that was one of the ways they identified themselves secretly. But yeah, Rainy Ray was a homeless man. Well, not homeless. He was a improperly taken care of man that had mental problems. And he lived with his family nearby to the Starbucks on Herndon and Marks that I worked at. And he would kind of like panhandle in front of the grocery store across the street and in front of the businesses that were in the little strip mall that my Starbucks was in. And his name was Rainy Ray. I think his first name was actually Ray or Raymond, but he called himself Rainy, and he asked for us to call him Rainy. And he was one of those dudes that, like, depending on like geographics and depending on who's in charge of a place, right, he's gonna get kicked out probably, right? Like he would panhandle in front of the store. He would make people uncomfortable by approaching them and wanting to sit down and talk to them, with the end goal being to hit them up for money. But I liked Rainey, and the people that worked there liked Rainey because he was a good-natured guy. You could tell he wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't a mean guy. He was just bored, and he didn't have anything to do. And he would walk around town, and he didn't have any money, and so he would ask people for money so that he could buy himself things that he liked, like iced tea. Rainey was obsessed with iced tea. He would beg us for iced tea. Now, back in that day, now I think it's not that way, but back in the day, you used to be able to get a free water at Starbucks. You can come in and ask us for a cup of water, and we would give you a tall cup with ice and water. Right? I don't think it's that way anymore. So anyway. But he would always beg us for tea because he found out, very intrepid guy. We had timers on our iced tea for like 5 hours or something. And once it'd sit in the fridge for over like, I can't remember what it was, 2 or 3 or 4 hours, we would dump them and brew more tea. So the tea didn't go stale and gross, right? Well, he saw us doing this one time. Why are you guys dumping that tea? I said, Rainey, it's fucking time to make new tea. He's like, can I have that tea? Well, all right, man. So I poured him a fucking tea. Well, little did I know I'd created a monster. Because now Rainey knows that around certain times of the day, we're dumping out tea. And so now he's asking for tea every day, and we give him water. And he used to say brown water. He's like, can I get some of that brown water? I'd be like, Rainey, you can't have no brown water. Timer's not going off for another 3 hours, Rainey. Oh, well, here you go. Here's some regular water. All right, man. Thank you. He'd go out, you know. And, there was a time like where my manager wanted to ban Rainey because he was panhandling and shit. And I asked her, I was like, let me have a talk with him. And she's like, all right, but one more thing, one more incident, and he's gone. I'm like, okay. Next time Rainey came in, I said, Rainey, come, I'm going to go on break. I said, I'm going to take a 10. The Rainey come out front. I gave him a smoke. And I said, we need to talk, Rainey. So what's going on, Paul? I said, Rainey, they're going to ban you from this store. He's like, what? I was like, yes. And I'm going to tell you why. They want to ban you from the store because you keep asking people for money. And he's like, but Paul, I don't try to be. And I was like, I know, Rainey, I know, but you have to understand, it makes people uncomfortable that you are walking around hitting people up for money, and they're going to ban you. And there's really probably nothing I can do about it. He's like, I won't do it. And I was like, Rainey, well, if you do, they're going to ban you. That's what I'm trying to be a good guy to you. I like you a lot, Rainey. But they're not going to let you be around here anymore. It's like, all right, Paul, all right. And I tell you what, he cleaned up his fucking act. He stopped panhandling in front of the Starbucks. He wasn't like a nuisance. He stopped begging for tea. And, Rainey was an everyday guy. He wasn't an everyday guy. There would be weeks sometimes. And I came into work one day, and people were like, oh, Paul, did you hear about Rainey? And I was like, no, what did he do now? And they're like, he's dead. I was like, what? Like, yeah, he got hit by a car like 3 blocks from here in the middle of the night, walking around in fucking black t-shirt and jeans. And there was like a hit and run. They just ran him over and killed him in the street. And I was like, what the fuck, man? So weird. Like when a fixture in your life dies like that. Rainey, he wasn't like a young, spry guy, but he wasn't like old or decrepit or nothing. He looked like a dude that was about to live, another 30, 40 years. And it was kind of sad. And they never caught the person that killed him either. Somebody ran him over at night, didn't see him, and instead of stopping to help him, they just let him die there. It was really sad, man. news on when we'll be getting the old commentaries back? Patience, young Padawan. No, I mean, we're working on it. I mean, we've got like a whole, we just released brand new commentary for you guys of a brand new movie, and you're going to get another one this month, right? So some of those movies are tough for us to do because of the copyright issues, and we're trying to get around that. We'll find, we'll figure something out. But in the meantime, you're getting brand spanking new full film commentaries with the three of us, okay? Every month. You notice obituaries are non-existent these days because of the internet, or else they're harder to find. I mean, if you know somebody locally and you get the local paper, you can find their obituary pretty easily, but I get what you mean. Oh, it was sad. Everybody was sad about it. I mean, you had to, like, look, dude, like, people get hit by cars. It wasn't like Rainey was my best friend, but, it was a blow. Like, the people in that store really liked him. And, to hear that somebody killed him and didn't even try and help him was pretty shitty, Sucks when people see poverty as a virus to be scared about. Well, there are times when people who are living homeless or living transient, they're living that way because of kind of dangerous mental problems, right? That does exist. So it's not like it's something that people are afraid of for absolutely no reason. But in my experience, anecdotal as it may be, but I've spent a lot of time volunteering with the homeless. Most homeless people are just exactly what you would think homeless people are. They're people that are down on their luck. They're people that are traveling. They're people that are between places in their lives, right? And their circumstances are their own. And it's just like, that is not how people look at homeless folks. They look at them with like fear and disgust and derision and all of that, right? Homeless people are people without homes. Holmes. Okay, buddy. That's the genuine homeless people, not the mindless, helpless tweakers. Okay. No true homeless. That joint looks beautiful. It tastes beautiful. Let me finish my half a bagel. You bastards. What kind of cream cheese? Philadelphia? Is there any other kind? The Philly cream cheese that comes in the block with the silver block with the blue Philly label on it. The Philly. Is there other kinds of cream cheese? Or is it just Philadelphia? Philly. Bagel. Pro-Israel much? Da, 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 da. I love a bagel, man. I don't love a genocide, though. I'm not a big fan of a genocide, but I do love a bagel. And I do think potato latkes are pretty good as well. Not so much on the gefilte fish, but what are you going to do? Trader Joe's has a proprietary cream cheese. Oh, man, gross. I'm all about that herb and garlic Philadelphia. Yeah, this one is just a plain Philly. I like the plain shit, but I get the schmear. Like when I go out to get a fancy schmancy bagel, yeah, I'm going to get their fucking cream cheese schmear of some type, right? I'm going to get a schmear. But at home, I just want a big block of fucking Philly, bro. That's all I need. Throw the Philly on the bagel, put the bagel in your mouth. Well, toast the bagel and then put the bagel in your mouth. Here we go. I'm the type of guy I don't want to eat in the morning, but if I don't eat in the morning, I'll get nauseous. I take a lot of pills in the morning, so half a bagel with a little bit of cream cheese. Put something on your stomach. What do you think about the extra whipped? Can I be real? I went to a bagel place one time, right? And I'm looking at their menu shit. I'm like, I just want to get the fucking regular bagel. Motherfucker, they gave me a hamburger with no meat and no lettuce and no tomatoes, where all of that was replaced with cream cheese whip. When they served it to me, I was like, what the fuck? And when I ate it, it came spraying out everywhere, out of the sides. Went all in my beard, down to the fucking bottom of it, bro. It was like, I was like, what is this? So no, I don't like that fucking extra whip cream cheese shit. You can save that. I want it smeared on my bagel. Messy, but was it good? I mean, it didn't taste bad, but it was completely impractical to eat for breakfast. Like completely impractical to eat. I can't even remember the name of that place. It was years ago. It was probably like 20 years ago or 15 years ago, maybe. Because I was still married to my ex-wife. Where were we? Vegas? I think it might have been Vegas. Yeah, it was Vegas. I remember where I got it. I got it in a bagel place inside of Paris, where the fake Eiffel Tower is in Vegas. Like we'd gone in there to get breakfast and I ordered a bagel thing. See, I was able to walk it down. That thing was fucking travesty, bro. My beard was all fucking slimy. Was dripping all over my hands. I had to have like a pile of napkins next to me, like some kind of freak. And dude, this is going to be a controversial thing too, but now that we're talking about bagels, I will say it again. The greatest bagel that I ever had was a pizza bagel in Washington, D.C. I don't even want to fucking argue. I know pizza bagels are cringe, okay? I know that's not traditionally how a bagel is going to be. But I'm telling you, I had a pepperoni pizza bagel in Washington, D.C. in 1993 that changed my fucking life forever, okay? I've been looking for that bagel since. I don't think I'll ever find that bagel. It was a locally owned bagelry. So it wasn't some kind of chain that I'm aware of. It was a locally owned shop. It was in DC. And I'm telling you, I was a kid. I was 13. And I ordered a pizza bagel. And what I got was the most delicious fucking bagel I've ever had. You were born in 93. See? That's what I'm talking about. You whippersnappers need to listen up. I'm kidding. Don't listen too hard to me. Listen, but assimilate on your own. The bagel lost in time like tears in the rain. Yeah. Yeah, no shit, bro. Roy Batty. Straight out Roy Batty bagel. That's what they should have called it, the Roy Batty. because I'm never going to find it again. That bagel shop probably fucking closed up fucking 20 years ago, bro. How do you like your coffee? Black usually. A little bit of sugar sometimes, a little bit of creamer sometimes, but typically if it's a good cup of coffee, I just want to sip on it black. Do you remember its name? Nah, man, it was just unremarkable. We ducked in there because it was near the hotel we were at. I don't remember the name of the hotel. I don't remember where exactly it was geographically because I was fucking 13 years old and I'm 44, okay? I know it was in DC because that's where we were. We went like that day that I had the pizza bagel, we went to the National Aerospace Museum in DC. And I got to touch a moon rock. I got to see the moon lander. You know, I remember that was a chill fucking day. But that pizza bagel set the tone. Okay. And I don't remember, it wasn't like McDonald's or any weird shit, right? That I could remember that. It was some just like fucking, you know, Shlomo's bagel shop or some shit. And I went in there and fucking got a bagel. And it was the best fucking bagel. You were in DC? All right, dude, I'll tell you what I remember. I was a little kid, bro. Here's what I remember. I was living in a hotel, but I think it was more like an extended stay, maybe. It was near some grass. I remember if we walked out of the hotel, there was across the street, there was just like grass. And I think it was near a monument, but I can't remember which one. It might have been the Jefferson Memorial, maybe. We could kind of see it. And then it was, so we walked up and around the corner from that, like kind of away from the grass. And there was a bagel shop right there on the right-hand side. We ducked in there because it, you know, looked fucking good and it smelled good. I got a pizza bagel and I've never fucking had it since. So there you go. Sleuth it up, man. Geolocate this bitch. Because I can remember walking down the street. I remember walking, like, hanging a right because we saw the bagel shop over there. Like, so, like, I remember it was on our right as we were walking down the street, on the same side of the street as we were on. And we were on the same side of the street as our hotel. That's, you know, I don't know. I don't think it was near the museum because I believe we took a taxi that day to the museum. So I don't think it was near the museum, but I do remember grass. So it looked like it might have been like a big park. And I remember seeing a part of the dome of the Jefferson Memorial, I think. Like not super close, but it was visible from the outside of our little extended stay. Dude, if you can find that shit, fucking A, bro. All the better. I would make a pilgrimage to get that goddamn pizza bagel again. We'd have to assume this business still exists after 50 years too. Okay, smart ass. It hasn't been 50 years yet. But yeah. 20. So like, all right, I was 13 and I'm 44. So it's been more like 31 years, okay? Yeah, that's a Jefferson. A lot of food spots nearby. See? Now we're starting to narrow it down. I remember the Jefferson Dome. Okay, so we're putting ourselves in the geographic area. Now, how many bagelries are down there? Right? How many bagelries are next to possibly a hotel or an extended stay? Terrible memory. Yeah, I'm sundowning, man. It's happening. Having a joment. I'm having a joment. You know what, guys? I remember getting that bagel in it. Oh, you don't remember where? Anyway. Anyway. well, that's 200 hotels in the immediate area. Right. But how many of those 200 fucking hotels, Otello, are right next to a bagel shop that's been there forever? Because there's no way it closed. A high chance is no longer there, too. COVID killed a lot of small businesses. Nah, this place fucking made it through COVID, man. I'm telling you. Telling you, dog. This pizza bagel was fucking legit. Okay? This was not a fuck around pizza bagel. These were not frozen bagel bites. Okay? This was capital L legit pizza bagel. Okay? So how many of those 200 hotels have a bagel shop near them? Like within like less than a block of them is a bagelry. Probably narrows it down to about 20. See, we're getting there. We're sleuthing. Dear sir, what would the world be like if everyone had the Second Amendment and had a right to carry a gun by law? You talk about everybody in the world have that right? Yeah, I honestly don't know. My mind says that would mean more guns, more gun ubiquity, and probably more death from guns, both accidentally and maliciously, right? Yes, the entire world. Yeah, I think there would be more gun death in the world if everybody had guns. Now, if you talk about like regulated access to guns, that's different, right? You're just talking about extending this kind of blanket right to carry a concealed weapon to everybody in the world. Right? I'm saying if you're willing to license yourself and prove that you're, capable of handling it, prove that you don't have mental problems, you're not looking to hurt people with it, then you can have whatever gun you want, dude. I'm not like a leftist that's going to be like, ban guns, ban guns, ban guns. But I think if you just started dumping guns into societies where it's currently not legal, the gun death numbers would go up. Yeah. I'm from Europe where guns are basically banned unless they're for hunting. Okay, can I tell you, I don't agree with that. I think that there should be a path to legal gun ownership. I think that at this point, the gun thing is out of the bottle, right? There are just too many guns and too many easily obtainable guns and stuff. So, like, I don't think that you should be restricted to just hunting weapons and shit. I think you should be able to have, like, a gun to protect yourself. But I also think it should be licensed. So, like, if you're crazy, I don't mean to be mean to people, but, like, if you're mentally unstable, you can't have a gun. Like, if you have a history of violence, you can't have a gun, right? If you can't demonstrate an ability to handle a gun properly and fire a weapon properly, you can't have a gun in my world, right? But as long as you're willing to demonstrate, just like you do when you get a driver's license, right, that you're competent enough to take other people's lives into your hands with a dangerous thing. In the case of a driver's license, a car. Case of a gun, a gun license, a gun. The gun is just a tool. It's the person behind it, right? A car is just a tool. It's the person behind it, right? So we have a licensure process for cars to make sure that you're not fucking crazy. You're not too stupid to drive a car so that you don't kill people with it. I think we should have the same for guns. But other than that, I think it's chill for you to have a gun, right? I'm too easily annoyed and angry for a gun. Need to get that under control for, hey, at least you know that about yourself, though, Dude, the internet isn't 21 years old. Yes, it is, bud. I first started accessing what would be the internet in like 91 or 92. So, yeah, bud. It is more than 20 years old. DARPANET, which is what the internet was when it was still just a military secret communication kind of project, has existed since the 70s. So the internet is more than 30 years old now. It's way more than 30 years old. It's more than 50 years old now. Yep, I had. If you ask me any of these, like kind of like thing, like ICQ, yep, had ICQ. AIM had AIM. I was a forum poster back when that was the thing. I used to use MPlayer, which you can look into the history of MPlayer. It's one of the first voice over IP things. It was kind of like ostensibly designed for gaming, but it ended up just being a social network. The early 70s, yeah, like 71 or 2. Don't quote me on that, right? But like early 70s. You have an opinion on the Terrence Howard drama with Joe Rogan Experience and all his theories? I haven't seen it, so no. I was on the internet in the early 90s. Same. Actually, I was like doing what would ostensibly be internet shit in 89 and 88, connecting to BBSs on my dad's 300 baud modem. He had a Commodore 64, and then he got the 128 memory extension. And so I was doing BBS shit. I was playing MUDs, looking at local BBSs and stuff in 88, 89, right? So pretty crazy. So you know exactly what I mean then, right? Like the internet is not as new as people think it is, right? What is new is mass social media. That is something that's been around for about 10, 15 years proper. I'm not saying it didn't exist before then. I'm just saying, like, in terms of its impact, that's been about a decade, 15 years worth of soaking in. Did Steve Jobs doom humanity with creating the smartphone, or is the smartphone a good tool? The smartphone is great. It's a great tool, as long as it's not like used obsessively, like you said. I guess that's a good term way of putting it, right? You're not letting it encroach on what it is that you're doing with your life. And I think that's not true of a lot of people, especially a lot of young people. So I think it's a very dangerous invention that can be very like liberating if it's used properly, right? Yeah, 90s and the early 2000s, I was like a forum rat. I was a forum troll. I used to troll gaming forums and gaming communities. I started trolling this community called PK-HQ. You can look it up on Internet Archive and shit. It's wild. You'll find me there. If there's an Internet Archive of old pk-hq.com, then you'll find me there. You'll be able to see me amongst the other chuds there trolling each other. But I ended up like sinking into that community because I liked it. For a lot of young people, it's an inseparable and an essential part of life. Yeah. Terrence Howard says 1 by 1 equals 2, and Neil deGrasse had to check Terrence. Sorry, 1 times 1 equals 2, right? Yeah, 1 by 1. And Neil had to check Terrence. I see. I don't care. I mean, whatever, dude. I'll probably see highlights from it and shit at some point, but I'm not a big Roganite guy. I can't really stand watching long form Rogan shows unless somebody. The only time I've done it is when I think he's talking to somebody really, really interesting, right? I just can't watch him sit there and like jerk off Elon Musk or talk to Bert Kreischer for 6 hours. I just can't do it, bro. But like when he had Bernie on, I watched all of that. He had TJ on, I watched all of that. What other shows have I watched? The entirety. When he had Kyle on, at least one of the times he had Kyle on, I watched the entirety of it. Just interesting folks. Is that like not Terrence Howard, but like who's that? Graham Who's that guy that's like kind of like an archaeologist and a historian? Graham Nelson, guy that thinks that like it's possible that there might have been like a lost civilization of monument builders or whatever that's like just so old that it was supplanted by another civilization. Graham Hancock, yeah. I watched a whole episode with him because I think he's just like fascinating, even if I don't necessarily agree with a lot of his kind of wilder prescriptions. But I like, yeah, Joey Diaz. I'll watch a Joey Diaz episode if that's all he's got. Yeah, well, whatever, bro. I couldn't remember his name. He's not like my favorite dude. I just thought he was a really interesting guy. There was some dude that was like a mycologist as well, like a mushroom guy, I think, who was really interesting for some reason. He had some like conspiracy theories and shit about how he knew things about mushrooms that were like life changing or whatever the fuck. And like he wasn't allowed to say it because it would put his life in danger. Was like, what? Paul Stamets. Yeah, is that his name? I don't know. And like, so every once in a while, like Rogan will have like a really interesting guest, but like most of the time, not. You know, like I'm sorry, like I think he's hella funny, but I'm not gonna sit and listen to him talk to fucking what's his fucking name? Put down the milkshake, simple bitch. What's that fucking guy's name? Cat Williams. I'm not gonna sit and listen to him talk to fucking Cat Williams for 3 hours. Like Cat Williams is some font of knowledge. You know what I mean? It's just weird. He ain't. Do you hear that Saudi Arabia did not renew the petrodollar 50-year contract and they will not be taking dollars, which might affect the dollar? Yeah. I mean, this like insane dance that America has been doing with Saudi Arabia for fucking like 50 years. It had like, it's had its ups and downs, right? It's constantly fluctuating. But I will tell you what will happen as a result. America is going to jerk the choke chain and they're going to start accepting petrodollars again. Maybe just American money as well. $50. Yeah. 50 years. 50 years of what? 50-year contract ran out in June. Yeah. And America is going to jerk the choke chain. Trust me. Hamilton Morris was a great guest on Rogan. Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia, a really interesting show. Oh, I think I've seen that show before, maybe a couple of times. I do think I've seen that show a couple of times. Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia. Wasn't that like attached to Vice at one point, or am I thinking of another? Wasn't that attached to Vice News back before Vice News was completely subsumed by Disney or HBO or whoever it was that bought them? Not that it matters, right? Was the gold standard backing the dollar a good or bad thing? I guess that depends, right? I'm not an economist, so to bloviate on this for too long would be pretty stupid. But from what I understand, the gold standard tying value to the dollar was better at the time, right? Because banking was better at the time, right? So the way it was explained to me was You know, your local bank used to be made up of, like, the board of your local bank used to be made up of other people, like like people from the community sitting on the board of the bank, right? And they would like be very judicious with how they handed out mortgages and loans. If you were seen as a risk factor, there was no way those people were going to approve a loan, right? And so there was like this check and balance. Mortgages were not looked at as a way to for the bank to make piles of money. They were looked at as a public service provided by the bank that made people more likely to invest their money with that bank, right? And then when mortgages became this like candy, and the mortgage industry was deregulated to the point where people could just like have no credit history, no intention of ever paying the bill, but here's a fucking $1 million loan for a house, like it was pre 2008, right? These subprime loans and stuff, like tying the dollar, when you're talking about the economy at large progressing in such a deregulated direction, keeping the dollar stodgily tied in that environment to gold makes no sense from what it's been explained to me. Right now, to me, I would rather have that old way. I would rather a bank, instead of being this multinational behemoth corporation, I would rather it be local business people who are sitting on the board of the bank, and they're like, hey, so and so, like Paul wants a business loan to open a fucking Neck Beards or Us. What do we think about this guy? I don't know. He seems a little shady to me. Maybe no loan for him. All right, next. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather that than this like free for all where your loan is packed into a tranche of other loans and then rated low but graded high. You know what I mean? Fuck this. Right? By the way, my name is Ami, and I am your fan and a subscriber from Iceland. Cool, very cool. I would love to visit Iceland one of these days. Are you in Reykjavik or Reykjavik, right? Even Reykjavik? Yeah, dude, Iceland, very cool. Yeah, a place I would like to visit. Arnie, Arnie, my bad. I'm a little blind. Yeah, it looked like an M from here. My bad. Arnie. Very cool. Reykjavik. Cool. Very nice. If you ever get close to a human or human behavior, you'll definitely be confused and see. Sorry. And there is no logic in insanity. Dude, Bjork kicks fucking ass, bro. Hey, Paul, do you think America will ever stop messing with Cuba? Do you think the Pope will ever stop wearing a pointy hat? Do you think that a bear will ever stop squatting down to shit in the woods? Fuck no. We will not stop fucking with Cuba until they have subsumed their entire culture to our American fucking whims. When they're ready to be the 51st state, then Cuba, we will be done with Cuba. Human behavior. Human behavior. Cooney, man, you should never feel guilty. You're doing them a fucking service, okay? You're keeping them from falling all the way down the retard rabbit hole. And that's all we can do for our family. If that, so. Starbucks coffee is the best coffee in the entire galaxy. Whoa, dude. Are you a Starbucks person or what? You like Starbucks corporate bot guy? Hey, Paul, do you know that America's unipolar power is not what it used to be, so the chain jerking days are over? Because if they tried to do so, Saudi would just go to Russia and China. Well, here's the problem. Saudi Arabia's got a lot of leased American military hardware. You see, their whole military is us. We supply it. We provide it. We maintain it. The chain is still there. The chain is still there. We remove all that shit. Cancel your fucking lend-lease. Taking back all our jets. Taking back all of our fucking military hardware. All of our reactors. That's the chain. Lease, they bought them, right? You really think that, man? Hell fucking no, bro. America does the lend-lease. America does the lend-lease program where we provide your fucking missiles and we provide your jets. Trust me. Trust me. American military infrastructure props up a ton of Saudi military power. We got our fucking hand directly in their fucking handbag. I'd love to see you break down Mad Max movies on Cinema for Cynics. Is that something you'd consider? Maybe, yeah. They get to keep the burkas, yeah. So we're just like a car dealership, but for weapons. Well, I mean, that's one of the ways that America engages in nation building, right? It's like, oh, your nation is falling apart. You need American soldiery. And then you need to have your own army, but you're going to need American weapons to build a proper army. We'll do that for you. The fine print is we have fucking exclusive rights to your oil fields for the next 50 years. Right? Now, we don't have that stranglehold over Saudi Arabia, but we can jerk the chain in a number of ways, non-military ways on Saudi Arabia. Sanctions. Like Saudi Arabia still needs America to buy its oil. Yeah, it can run to Russia, but it still wants America to drink its oil as well. There are fucking 350 plus million consumers here who desperately need oil. They don't want to see that marketplace closed to them. So, there's just economic threats, and sanctions, and military threats that can be made, Do you think American institutions are strong enough to survive a second Trump term? Yes. I've never been a person that thought that Trump signified the end of democracy or some shit. What signifies the end of democracy to me is the slow rot of our institutions and the commensurate rot of people's trust in those institutions, right? That's what threatens democracy. Trump might step on the gas pedal a little bit in an accelerationist viewpoint. But as far as him being the end of democracy or the end of the American way, it's not him. He's a symptom. He's a rash. So is Joe Biden, though. Joe Biden is a rash. He's a symptom of a broader problem. The problem is institutional rot. We have allowed our American public institutions to rot to the point where we're supposed to believe that Donald Trump and Joe Biden are the most qualified people in our country to run it. It's fucking absurd, right? Institutional rot is the problem. Donald Trump is a symptom. Do you like the quote, the more I learn about people, the more I like my dog? Yeah, if that's not a misattribution. Mark Twain was, misquoted quite a bit, but that sounds like a Twainism. It's real. I believe you. I wasn't trying to call you out. I'm just saying a lot of times when people attribute things to Mark Twain, it won't be a Mark Twainism. He's very like misattributed by the internet quite a bit. I'm not pointing the finger. I believe you. Like I said, it sounds like a Twainism. Oh, hey, Paul, always love seeing you come up in my feed. Cool. Cool, buddy. Well, I hate to do this to you, but I think I'm going to leave. I think I'm done for a while, at least. Maybe I'll do another one of these at night when the sun goes down. But until then, it's been cool chilling with you. Thanks for hanging out. Consider subscribing if you haven't. Nice to meet you. Thanks for the conversation, Iceland. Right? Hope to see you again. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.